All right, we're back again outside on the porch for another edition of Government with Mr. S. Today we're talking about forms of government and basic concepts of democracy. If you haven't already done so, label your table of contents with your note sheet, Government 2.2 and 3, Forms of Government, pages 8 through 12. All right, let's start with vocabulary. We're going to do things a little bit different today. We're going to start just with this term. So find this as the last term on your vocabulary sheet. Sovereignty. Sovereignty is defined as the right to rule, derived from one of the four theories: force, divine, evolutionary, social contract. Governments get their sovereignty from one of these four theories. All right, on your own, you might want to click back and watch this video. It's a really good introductory video about different types of governments. All right, we're going to classify government in three ways. The first way we're going to classify government is who can participate in the governing process. The way power is distributed within the state geographically, that's between the central and regional governments, aka state and local, or the relationship between the executive and legislative branches. All right, so let's go back through about democracy. Who can participate in democracy? Ultimately, the people have all the authority in a democracy. Democracy can be two ways, direct or indirect. Remember last time we were talking about direct democracy is when everybody participates, like in Athens, Greece, or indirect democracy or representative democracy, like in the Roman Republic. It's important to understand that direct democracy does not exist anywhere in the world today. On a large scale, the populations we have, it's just impossible. All right, so what we have here in America, and what everybody recognizes, is representative democracy. The key thing you got to remember is in a democracy, the people are in charge. I'm going to check your head. Choose all the characteristics that describes a direct democracy. We're bringing it back from last time. Take a few minutes. All right, if you chose all right, check ahead. In a representative democracy, the people are the source of the government's power. However, they do not directly make laws. How do people maintain power in the government? A, the government takes power away from the people. B, the people do not want to be involved in the political process. C, the people maintain power over the elected officials via their ability to elect or re-elect current leaders or vote them out of office. Or D, who cares? If you answered C, you'd be correct. All right, let's talk about dictatorship. Dictatorships are the polar opposite of democracies. You have two types of dictatorships: autocracies or oligarchies. An autocracy is a government which a single power holds unlimited power. We're talking like the Emperor in Star Wars. Unlimited power. An oligarchy, on the other hand, is a government in which the power to rule is held by a small, usually self-appointed elite. It could be a party, it could be the rich, etc. All dictatorships tend to be authoritarian in character. Those in power have absolute and unchallengeable authority over all. And if you cross them, you're dead. Also, totalitarian. Most modern dictatorships control every aspect of your life, from what you watch on TV to what you wear on your body. All right, four types of dictatorships are, fascist Italy from 22 to 43 under Mussolini, Nazi Germany under Hitler from 1933 to 1945, Soviet Union from the 1917 to the 1980s under people like Lenin, Stalin, Andropov, Khrushchev, Gorbachev, Yeltsin, and the People's Republic of China from 1949 to modern day. All right, depending on what type of government you are, what system you are, it answers one basic question: how is power distributed? All right, three ways in democracy we're going to look at is through the unitary system, the confederation system, and the federal system. In the unitary system, the central or head government holds all the power. And they're voted in by the people. They give directives to the lower governments, that's your regional and state and local, and they allocate power as they choose. All right, this would be like Great Britain during the Revolution. Okay, King George was the central government. He sent it down to Parliament, which sent it down to the local units. All right, in this diagram, you see the voters in some unitary systems. In modern day, the voters vote in the central government, who in turn sends out the requirements, the laws, the regulations to the regional and state governments. All right, what we have in America today is called a federal system. In a federal system, power is divided between the national and lower governments. All right, we vote in the national government, we vote in our state government, we vote in our local government. Each government is distinct. It has the right to rule over its area. Common examples include the U.S., Australia, Brazil, Canada, Germany, India, and Mexico. All right, if we were to look at the federal system in a diagram, you have the voters right here voting in the central government and voting in your regional governments. All right, and these units have authority over their realm. The central government rules the whole country. The regional governments, i.e. the state, the local, handles the state, handles the local town. Okay. We know it in our country as federal, state, and local government. They both have their own distinct responsibilities, but they also share power, like federal laws, state laws, local laws. We pay federal taxes, state taxes, local taxes. All right, we have federal courts, we have state courts in Virginia. These are all shared power. So power is both divided and shared. When I say divided, think about in our country, the central government. They're the only one that has the power to declare war. Virginia cannot declare war. Roanoke City or Bedford County cannot declare war. Okay, that's only reserved for the central government. So here we have the voters. The voters, and once again in a democracy, the voters are in charge. They're sending power both to the regional governments and the central government. Now, if we want to compare our federal system to a unitary system, if you look at this chart right here, the federal government has two levels, central and state. In a unitary system, there's only one level, uni, meaning one. Okay? Political powers are shared in a federal system where the central government holds power only. The constitutions are different, and even the types of law are different. In a unitary system, you have a uniform, one set of law for everybody. In the United States, we have actually three types of law. We have federal law, state law, and local ordinances. A confederation system is much like what we had prior to the Constitution and during the Civil War. All right, it's a system of government where a weak central government, the head government is actually very weak, but the individual local governments or the state governments have all the power. All right, if you think about America before the Constitution, you had a weak central government on the Articles of Confederation, and all 13 states had ultimate power, which didn't work real well because it was like you had 13 kids and two parents tied up in the closet, and you can't do anything. All right? Same thing with the Confederacy during the Civil War. All right, so the state, local governments have all the power. They give authority to the central government to handle administrative things, but ultimately they're very, very weak. You look at another way, the voters put in their state and local government powers. The state and local governments give the central government their authority. All right, let's go ahead and fill out your vocabulary. If you're watching this in video form, pause it here, fill out your vocabulary. Once again, if you're watching it in video form, pause it here, fill out your vocabulary, and I'll hit you on the flip side. All right, another way to look at governments is how the legislative and executive branches relate to each other. We have two systems, a presidential government system and a parliamentary government system. The presidential government, if you've already guessed, is the system we have here in America. The branches are separate, but they're also equal. Both branches can block the actions of others. Congress passes a law, the president can veto it. All right? President vetoes too much, the legislative branch can override. All right? This is us, the United States. The parliamentary government you're very familiar with if you think about England. The executive is a prime minister, and the officials' cabinet is all chosen by the legislative branch. The legislative branch chooses the prime minister. The legislative branch chooses the cabinet. It's an over-glorified secretary position, if you think about it. They are working at the will of the legislative branch. All right? The legislative branch tells the prime minister what he can and cannot do, or she can and cannot do. All right? Examples of this would be Great Britain, Canada, and Japan. All democracies, but there's a totally different swing on how the executive branch and the legislative branch works. All right, here's another look at this graphically. In a presidential system, the voters choose both a legislative branch and a chief executive. In a parliamentary system, the voters choose a legislative branch, and in turn, the legislative branch chooses the chief executive. Oh, back on that vocabulary again. Pause me. Catch you on the flip side. All right, let's go to the foundations of democracy. All right, especially when I say this, foundations of democracy, I mean our democracy in the United States. We believe in certain key characteristics. This is what our democracy is based off of. Worth of the individual, equality of all persons, majority rule and minority rights, necessary of compromise, individual freedoms. All right? Now, before you're like scrolling down, I'm going to put it in a chart for you. Actually, pause that, come back. I'll fix it later. All right, now, democracy, where we already know the people rule, also includes our economy. In our democracy, we have a free enterprise system, which means private citizens, you and I, we can own ownership of capital goods, of investments. Success or failure is not determined by the government. It's determined by whether people want to buy our stuff. All right, the law of supply and demand. We know how this works. If supplies and goods and services are plentiful, prices go down because we gotta get the stuff off the shelves. If goods and services are scarce, prices rise. Now, contrary to popular belief, we do not have a free market system in the United States. We have a mixed economy. All right? We have private industry in combination with a considerable amount of government regulation. The government regulates products, labor, safety, etc. All right, now just think about how does the government participate in our economy? All right, at the federal level, we have antitrust laws. This is why we don't have monopolies anymore. Pure food and drug laws. Okay, this is why we know our food is safe. Our drugs are safe. All right, why you ever see a medication commercial and at the end of it they talk really fast like, taking this medication may cause vomiting, diarrhea, nausea, growing a third eyeball, and even death. Well, that is because it's required by law that manufacturers put out there exactly what can happen if you put this in your body. Zoning ordinances. We regulate land use in this country. Okay, this is why you don't walk out your door and you have a toxic waste dump next door to your house. The state handles public education. Everybody gets a free education. Why? Because we want everybody to grow up to be qualified workers in the marketplace. All right? City transportation. Get people to work. People make money. People pay taxes. Everybody's happy.